Hello, this is Godel. Welcome back to Feed the Beast Interactions Remastered. Since last time, I have, in fact, done the things I said I was going to do. A couple of them, anyways. So I upgraded my heating coils on my EBF and my alloy blast smelter over there. You can now see the purple tritium coils. Here's the EBFs. They're currently running, though. They're doing enriched naquita, of course, for our naquita fuel. But upgrading the tritium coils has allowed us to get a free overclock on enriched naquita, so it's able to process much more quickly now. We are cooking them at 4 seconds per ingot in each of these, so that is 2 seconds each. And I also did a little changes on our vacuum freezer. So because we had the quadruple vacuum freezer down there by our alloy blast furnace, I actually went ahead and moved our ore dictionary storage bus for the hot ingots over here. So it is putting them onto an interface of this subnetwork here. And it is going into a chest here. So this chest gets filled with hot ingots. And instead of pushing the hot ingots into all of the input buses, I am now using the stocking input bus. So this pulls all items out of the ME system. So it's really only used for subnetworks, basically. Exactly a situation like this, but it's a way that we can provide all of the items to all of our machines at the same time. So there's some stocking input buses down here, and then I just used a wireless connector over here to hook up another stocking input bus on our other vacuum freezer over here. So this one doesn't get any of the fluids from our alloy blast smelter. It can kind of prioritize solid ingots, but all 5 of the vacuum freezers can work at the same time. Anyways, that was the vacuum freezer updates. As a result of the coils, we are now able to keep up with our liquid enriched naquita needs for processing fuel. So our fuel is currently on the rise here. We're at 3.4 thousand buckets of fuel. I switched the fusion reactor back over here to making coolant plasma because we were pretty low after doing europium for like a whole day. And yeah, our generators here just have been running away when they need to. Our power at the moment is good. It is capped out. I think at some point I do want to update the capacitors in there to a stronger capacitor, but for now, just leaving it as is. Anyways, without further ado, oh yeah, there was one more thing, right? Oh yeah, I built more assembly lines. You might have saw that when I ran over to my vacuum freezers over here. But yep, I built 3 more assembly lines, so now we have 4. These are all identical setups, and they're all hooked up to our data bank over here, which is just beeping and buzzing away. Using quite a lot of power, despite there not being any recipes currently running, but I guess we could probably turn it off if we wanted to. Like, I could probably have an item detector cover reading all of the input hatches here, input buses, and then like tell it to turn on only when it detects an input bus. But nah, there's no need for anything like that. We'll just, let it do its thing. Because I think you can turn it off once the recipes start running. It only needs the recipe in there to kick off the craft. So yeah, that's what I did. So the reason I didn't get to the ZPM energy hatch is because I looked at the recipe for it. Not this thing. ZPM energy hatch. I looked at the ZPM energy hatch and I'm like, oh yeah, this requires research, right? Research station. This thing that I have yet to make. So I did a little one of these things. I made a encoded pattern with the set for the research station, and I requested one. And let me just tell you, these things are no joke to make. Like, look at this, right? So this is the research station. It takes 2 LUV field generators, which each need 2 LUV emitters, which each need a motor and a quantum star, and then 2 LUV circuits as well. Oh yeah, and not to mention the emitters, the field generators themselves need 2 circuits. So this is each like 6 LUV circuits per one of these. But that's not even the worst part. So in addition to having the research station, you also need to generate something called computation. And to generate computation, you need to use something called, where is it in here? You need to use something called the High Performance Computing Array, also known as the HPCA. And it's basically just this dude right here. Um, let's see, one side is flat. This is the flat side. And then one side over here is the middle 9 tiles on this can be a variety of a few different type of blocks that provide different amounts of computation and cooling, because when things are computing, as you know, with your laptop, or not your laptop, your computer, gets hot and needs some fans to keep it cool. Or in this case, I don't know, some coolant fluid apparently. But anyways, these provide a certain amount of cooling at a cost, or they provide a certain amount of computation and require a certain amount of cooling. So we're gonna have to figure out what we're gonna want to do for those. But yeah, when I went to research our computation set, or HPCA is what I called it, the HPCA set for one HPCA. Look at this ridiculous craft, right? Needs to make 220 IV circuits, and then a bajillion dusts of all sorts of kinds. Like, look at this, right? Like, just crazy amount of stuff. So it needs to make 18 LUV circuits. It needs an IV emitter. It needs 17 LUV motors. And then the worst part is, let me find, where's that? Ah, yes, 8 LUV field generators. That's 4 times what the regular one was using, or just the research station. So yeah, that was kind of crazy. Anyways, I got all that put together. Let's go figure out where we want to build this thing. So it's going to kind of be its own setup. It doesn't really need to be close to anything, and it doesn't really need to be like, we're gonna want some space because we are going to be making this high performance computing array. We can also hook multiple of these up together using something called a network switch. Where is it? Network switch right here. So network switch, you can put computation reception hatches, and it'll basically allow you to have multiple computation engines, HPCAs, delivering computation on the same line, because you cannot have a split in your optical cables over here. So just like over here, where we are sending our data to each of our assembly lines, and we need a separate port, we can only send our data in our HPCAs via a single line, and that would be how we would combine them, using a network switch. So yeah, let's look at what we actually want to make and kind of figure out what we're going to want in our research station to even begin with. So here is our research station. Research station, you put the thing that you want to research over here, I believe, and then you put like the data orb in there too, or maybe you put the data orb in the research station itself. I don't know, I haven't used this. We're going to figure it out once I make it. Looks like power goes on the back. Power and data reception go on the back, so... But I believe we can... Yeah, see, it says exactly one data reception. We cannot have multiple... we cannot have multiple computation units feed into this one. We need to combine them into one line with a network switch, and then feed that in, so... Okay. Let's look at the actual research requirements. So we can see here there's a minimum computation, and then there's a certain amount of computation required, and there's also a power use required. So I believe it takes a minimum amount of time with the power, and then depending on how much computation time, that could increase the amount of time it could take to finish the research. I think, I don't know exactly, but let's look at some things we want. So fusion reactor Mark 1 in here turns into fusion reactor Mark 2 research, so we need to make another fusion reactor controller to research the Mark 2 controller. How fun. Mark 2 to make Mark 3 make sense. This is a jump from 16 computation. I don't know what CWU. Why don't they just say CUUU? Anyways. Does it say what CWU is? It, I don't know, it must mean something. Hold on. I don't know if it's actually described anywhere where... Oh, there it is. Compute work units. I was going to guess computational work units, actually, is what I was thinking. But yeah, there it is. Compute work units. Okay, so we need a certain amount of CWTs for these things, but let's go and look at the recipes we're actually going to want to make. So UV, we're not there yet. ZPM data orb, ZPM field generator is probably something we want to do. Not UV. So ZPM is 8. Let me make a quick notes for writing this in. ZPM field generator is 4. We probably want ZPM sensor. And I'm going to guess emitter is also 4 as well. Oh, emitter is 8. Okay. Well, that's kind of weird that the field generator is 4, but the emitter is 8 because you need the emitter to make the field generator, I'm pretty sure. Yep, you sure do. Okay. Okay. What else are we going to be looking for? I'll probably want to make this energy modules, so at some point for upgrading our substation. Energy modules 16. And this is something we need here, the crystal processor mainframe. That's going to be our first UV tier circuit. So crystal processor is 16. What is this? UV circuit, the wetware. Okay, so that's going to be the wetware circuit line. Is the wetware circuit line made in an assembly line? Oh, that's gross. Okay, well, this is something we definitely want databank to make a the advanced data access hatch, so that holds more cards. That can hold 16 instead of the 9 that our current ones can hold. This is what I was looking for. Network switch can hold 32. So we're going to need to be able to make 32 with our first HPCA because this is what we need to be able to connect multiple of them. So network switch is 32. And then anything else here significant? Okay, the dynamos and such were also in the low numbers. All right. Okay, so 32 is the goal we need to build with in mind for our HPCA. Question is, where do I want to build it? And I want to have somewhere where it has expandability. I don't know if I want to build it underground. Like, I could maybe use this kind of reclaimed space out here from our, where we used to have our ore setup and the chem setup. Yeah, why don't I do that? And then there's also a dense cable here in case we need it or something. I don't know. So let's put our research station down. Okay, so that's what it looks like, and it goes down deeper. Maybe let's put it. You know what? Let's use it over here. I forgot we had this big open area over here. Let's do it over here. So I believe we need to put it up a couple blocks. I believe we need to put it up a couple more blocks. Whoops. Okay, well, is that high enough there? That is high enough. Okay. Let's, is this where we would like it? Let's maybe scoot it back over here. How high is it up here? It is 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks up. So I'd like to have it 3 blocks down, or 3 blocks up. And then I'm going to build a little hole in the ground for the floor part. Or wait, does that mean I want to have it 2 blocks down? Here, let me look at the design again. Yeah, I want this to be flush with the floor, so I'm going to build it down 2 blocks, but first I want to make sure it's positioned where I want it. Okay, that looks like a good spot, so I'm going to move it down 2 blocks, but I need to first carve out the spot where it's going to sit, which is going to be right here. Actually, can you, like, show only the bottom layer for a moment, please? Thank you. Okay, so we are going to completely flatten out this bit, and then we're going to dig this down an additional layer for those blocks to go. Okay, there we go. So now when we move this down 2 blocks, it should be exactly flush with that floor. Good. Okay, yeah, that looks good. That's where I wanted it to be. The object holder is going to go over here. I think we can go ahead and build this multi-block with our multi-block builder tool here. So let me just go ahead and go multi-block 3D builder, automatic build. Thank you for that. Okay, wow, amazing. I don't know if it matters which way the object holder is pointing. In the preview, it has it pointing towards the research station. So the object holder has the data orb and the research item. Okay, good to know. All right, so invalid structure because we still need to go back here. So we have a computational reception hatch. We need an energy hatch, right? Okay. So let's see what we wanted to make. I think network switch was the highest demand thing we had over here. Let's see. ZPM Dynamo is ZPM. Network switch is ZPM. The advanced data processing is LUV. So we're going to be doing ZPM at minimum, I believe. ZPM for the sensor, the field generator, all that fun stuff. Okay, so ZPN power it is. So we are going to need 2 LUV energy hatches. We do have one. I don't know if the 16 amp would count as putting it at ZPM or if it needs to have actually 2. We can try. Like, we can go ahead and try. Okay, so this should be valid now, right? The research station, by the way, can have 2 energy hatches. Minimum 1. I guess you can have more than 2 if you wanted. What are we missing here? It says incomplete, but it is not really telling us why. Invalid structure. How come? Can you tell us why it's invalid structure? Debug. Expected computer casing components. Did I put something weird inside of here? Because I had it propped up on those pillars. Let me see what it wants in there. Oh yeah, I think I had the wrong kind of pillars. Okay, so if I just rebuild it, it should be good now. Oh, nope, it didn't like that. Does it need to be outside? I am not sure. I'm not entirely sure what the issue here is here. Because we've got our data computation, our data reception hatch. Let's look at the multi-block structure again. So these are all computer casings on the bottom. These are computer casings with advanced computer casings along the floor here. Yeah, it does look like that's what it put when it auto-built the block. Computer heat vents in the back and around the back, okay. Then it has 1 data reception hatch. It has 1 IV hatch. It has 0 maintenance hatches because it doesn't need one. Slightly confused. Is there something missing? Okay, let me go under the ground here. Maybe it didn't have enough blocks to actually do the structure here. So all of this down here should be filled in with blocks. Yeah, it's all filled in. Really not quite sure what's going on with that. These are all computer casings down here. That's what they're supposed to be, right? Oh, maybe the heat vents can't be obstructed. Let's give that a go. Air vent with a filter, yeah? Maybe that's it. Right, let me get rid of this cobblestone there, and then let's build the multi-block again. Automatic builds. Okay. So you placed our energy hatch back there. All right, let's make room around these vents and see if that's the issue. Structure incomplete still, huh? Give me a minute while I figure out what's going on here. Oh, wait, I think I know what the issue is. I just pulled it out of the ground here just to, wait a second. I was like, what is this hole I put around it? That's where I dug up the heat vents. I don't think the heat vents are the problem, but I do think I know what the problem is. So let me move it back to where I had it over here. I think the problem is it doesn't accept these multi-amp patches, huh? I'm gonna bet that's what it is. Nope, never mind. It does accept the multi-amp patches. I just saw the LUV 16 amp in there. Wait, maybe it doesn't accept that one specifically. I do see ZPM 16 amp in there. I'm trying to scroll through these and I'm not seeing LUV 16 amp. Maybe that one specifically is not allowed in here for some reason, like it's miscoded and not included. But yeah, I'm gonna guess it's related to the amp here. Let me just scroll through this list and see if I can find it. Oh wait, there it is. It's there. Okay, so LUV 16 amp is allowed. Minimum 1. Okay, let me just place this again. So this is lined up in the floor properly. Wait, is that lined up properly? Here, I think it needs to be scooped back one, right? Okay, there we go. Now it's lined up properly. And there's not like extra blocks down here, right? Or anything? Yeah, and then nothing underneath. Well, this is the first layer, so there wouldn't be anything underneath. Okay, the second layer is all up here, right? It is 7 by 3. Layer 2 is 7 by 3. Yeah, okay. Layer 3 is just like this. Alright, I mean, let's try to auto-build it again. What's your problem, my guy? Here, let me do some more troubleshooting with this block here. I tried troubleshooting with this before, debug, and it's just like it doesn't tell me anything useful here. So I still have computer casings. Let me see what all it uses. It uses computer casing. It uses advanced computer casing, and it uses heat vents. So computer casing, advanced computer casing, heat vents. I'm not out of any of those. Data reception hatch. That should just be computer casing. Yeah, I don't know why it's not working. Let me see energy hatch. Let's try another energy hatch maybe. Oh, sorry, instead of the other energy hatch. Yep, it doesn't like the 4 amp one. Do we have a regular one? Yep, no dice on that either. Give me a second while I continue troubleshooting this. I'm gonna now hit the Google. Currently trying to build the multi-block by hand, one layer at a time, to see if maybe the auto build feature thingy just like put something wrong. I don't know. But yeah, about to be done here. I'm on the second to last layer, so let's see if this is the solution to my woes. Just being careful to make sure I am using the appropriate block in the appropriate places, because they look very similar. Maybe the auto build feature got confused because they looked too similar. Alright, this looks like all computer casing, and I believe this is the last layer here, so... Oh, messed up that last block, of course I did. Alright, computer casing, structure incomplete still. What is your deal? Let me try building it, like, somewhere else entirely. Maybe it just doesn't like my basement. Oh, wait, what? I built it up here in the sky, and I was just messing with the object holder, and then suddenly it worked. Oh, and I think my game crashed. Okay, so object holder orientation matters, apparently. So yeah, I think that might have been the problem. I think the auto placer might have been pushing the object holder orientation in here incorrectly. Alright, so if that's the case, then I should be able to put this down where I originally wanted and just manually place the object holder. Alright, here, I'm just gonna drop this on the floor at the moment, and then let's build this guy one more time. Is this where I want it? Oh, no, that is the wrong machine. This guy. That's where I want it. I know because it's lining up with the hole I dug. It is not lining up with the hole I dug. I lied. Okay, I believe there's an advanced computer casing in there. That should be correct at least, right? Advanced computer casing. Okay. So now that lines up with the hole I dug. Alright, terminal. Let's go ahead and automatic build. Okay, so it's structure incomplete because we don't have the object holder, but as soon as I place that, structure incomplete. That is the high... I was like, that doesn't look like an object holder. Hold on. It's over here still. Hey, there we go. I don't know what the problem was, because I swear I recall rotating that to face the controller, like, at least twice, so I don't really know what happened. Anyways. Okay, so if we are going to be having network switches deliver power over here, or deliver computation, I am thinking I might actually like to have them kind of stacked on top of each other. So we could have, like, here, you can rotate this, right? Rotate, and then, yeah, we could have it be flat. Let me rotate it 2 more times. There we go. Oh, it's gonna need to also be propped up by one tile. What is the high performance array need? So it needs a computer casing below it if it's sideways, and then we would just rotate it 1, 2, 3 times. So there we go. It would be like a little CD drive, if anybody's old enough in the audience to know what that is. I'm sure plenty of people are. Okay, so this is what we want, and then it also gives us access to our, gives us access over here to the chips and such. Not the chips, the cooling and computational components. All right, let's go ahead and do this build. I like the positioning of this. So I'm going to build the first one manually just because... Oh yeah, the layers are like that, huh? Just because I want to make sure I understand how this one works. So we have... Can't really go layer by layer in the way I want to. So advanced computer casings and the heat vent. I guess we'll do layer by layer again. So heat vents. All right, and then these look like, oh yeah, these are, I remember there is a layer of 3x3 heat vents on the bottom. And then what does it have along the side here? So along the sides with the front and back, it has the advanced casings and then it has regular casing along the front. Why does it say minimum 5? Can I have something else here? Ah, okay, I can have the power plug and the input hatch there and stuff and such. Okay. So let's go 3. Then we're gonna do 5 of those. Then we need more computer casings. Computer casings. I feel like I'm probably gonna need. Oh, I had some more in my inventory. Whoops. Okay, well, probably still need more. Okay, so 2 more advanced computer casings, then 3 more heat vents. Wrong block again. Okay, so our input hatches are going to be all back here, our input blocks, and then we can have the data output over here. So let's go ahead and have the data output there. That looks like a good a spot as any. And then we are going to need an input hatch and a power input down here. Okay. I like how this is looking so far. But now we need to figure out what we're going to put inside of this thing, actually. So we have, I think there were like 5 options. So we need... There is... Let me just go through here and get a list of all of them. Just by bookmarking them. Okay. So we have the advanced computation component that generates 16 computation. And just a reminder, we need 32 for the network switch, but I don't think we can make this, right? Yeah, because that needs a ZPM field generator. So we can't go straight up to this one. The heatsink just provides 1 cooling, passive cooling. Doesn't cost any coolant to run. The bridge component allows us to connect to the network switch. So I don't think we can make this, right? Yeah, because it needs a ZPM emitter. So we're not going to be able to make this. It also needs a UV circuit. Jeez. But we will want one of these eventually to be able to connect it to a network switch. An empty component is just for filling space. And geez, you got to put IV circuits just for filling empty space? Good lord. So I guess these are the 2 options we have for computation. We can have a HPCA computation component, and we can have a active... Oh, this is active cooling. Okay, never mind. Okay, well, I guess we can only have these HPCA computation components for now. We're gonna want to probably try to get up to the network switch. So we're gonna need a total of 32 computation. So to get 32 computation with 4, we would need 8 of these, which would need 16 cooling, because they need 2 cooling each. And the most cooling we can provide is 2. So we would be short 14 cooling if we did that. So we cannot go straight to network switch. That means we have to, before we can get to the, before we can get to that, we're gonna have to do the, we're gonna have to make these guys first. Because yeah, there's only computation component and advanced computation component. Those are our only 2 computation options. Here, let me maybe make this let me make this maybe easier to see what I'm talking about. So let me just bookmark this. Ignore what's actually bookmarked there, but let me HPCA. Okay, so there is the active cooling, the heat sink, and then the empty space. So these are the 5 options we have. We have the advanced computation and the regular computation. That's 16 and 4. And then for cooling, we have... Oh, those computer casings took a long time. Jeez. Uh, LUV circuit. I don't really know why that took so long. Maybe it was just stuck behind stuff in the EBF. Anyways, so our cooling options are 2 cooling with fluid, 1 cooling passive, or none cooling and none computation. All right, well, I guess what do we need? We need... We're going to need this to make the network switch. We're going to need 2 of these. So we're going to need ZPM field generator. For that, we're going to need 4 computation for the ZPM field generator. And we're also going to need the ZPM emitter. ZPM emitter is going to need 8. And a bunch of expensive looking junk over here. The energy module needs 16 and the crystal processor needs 16, but in order to get 16, we'd have to have 4 of these. And then we would need 8 active cooling, which means we would need 4 of these, or I guess we could have 3 of them and then 2 heat sinks. Do I want to go straight for that? I'm thinking almost like let's just go with this, because what's the optimal setup going to look like? Does it have like some demo setups here of the HPCA? I feel like there's probably a few demo setups. Okay, so there's 4 computation with 2 passive cooling. This is 12 computation with a bridge component and 2 cooling. Wait, hang on, that's not right. What? There's 2 cooling. Okay, there's 4 cooling from heat sinks and then 2 from the active cooling. So that's for 12. This is for 20. No, we're gonna need 32 for the network switch before we can do anything. Okay. So this would be 32. So 32 would need 8 cooling. And then we would need... What if we put 3 of them? We would need 12 cooling and we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces, but then we can't have a bridge component. So we could have 48 without a bridge. So this is probably actually the optimal setup. Okay, well, good thing I was doing all the math here when the optimal setup is already in front of me. So 2 of those, 4 heat sinks and 2 active cooling, and then the bridge component. No empties. Empties would be a waste. For now, though, we just need 8. So let's make 2 HPCAs. HPCA. I did automate all these recipes already, so 2 of these. Empty components do... Okay, so we do use the empty components for things, so if I wanted, I can just make 4 heat sinks now, and that will provide the cooling we need for these 8 computation points. Heat sinks used for anything? They are not. That's okay, though, because the build we're going to be using will require 8 of them anyways. Oh, let me also, yeah, make sure I don't have any extra blocks on me, because these are kind of expensive. Are we doing the HPCA components? Okay. So we need 4 heat sinks. And then we'll need 3 empty components, if I have mathed all of this correctly. All right, well, there it goes. Away it goes into the furnaces. Let's go check to see how that's doing and see what the bottleneck over here was going on. So EBF's not currently running. Well, now they are. But they're not doing, like, enriched Naquita at the moment. How's our enriched Naquita looking at the moment? I kind of changed the generation amount. We're at 13 buckets of that. Okay, so that should last a few minutes before it tries to make any more. What are our bottlenecks right here? Platinum foil. Platinum. Is our furnace jammed or something? Why is it say it's crafting a bunch of... Oh, it's not crafting a bunch of stuff. Okay, crystal processors is currently what we're cracking down on. Doing some wafers over here. What is this using? Nano processors? Okay. This needs some processor assemblies. So for the most part, it is this guy is our bottleneck. Okay, I understand now. Speed it up just a little bit. Do I have an LUV battery? I could make a vanadium battery, but it's not charged. How much? I could also put this in a capacitor. I was thinking about it. Maybe just for... Okay, never mind. That's a ton of stuff here. Also, I will need to go ahead and automate those. Let me go ahead and do that now to be able to make those in the future. Oh, I need the circuit in this one because I still use the circuit in the dang bending machine thing. Bend C1 and bolt. Give this another dose of time in a bottle. Yeah, that's for the most part, that's just going to take a hot minute to craft all of these circuits because it needs to make a whole lot of emitters. High performance computing array is... Oh, you need an entire... Oh, no, that's the computing array itself. I was going to say, you need the 8 field generators for the computation. I just wanted to know this one. Okay, so 1 ZPM field generator, which still kind of sucks. 4 UV circuits, and then the basic computation. Okay. We're also going to need dielectric PCB coolant, so dielectric PCB coolant. Okay, I already have that automated, but we're going to need it to be available on, like, automatically made. So let me make a little bit, and then I'm going to grab it, dielectric PCB coolant. I'm going to grab it into a cell so I can go put it in a level maintainer. And then we can always have it, like, maintaining a certain amount. And how much does it use? Up to 8 per tick. 8 per tick per active cooling. Um. Hmm. Actually, wait. I was just thinking back here if we had. So looking at this pattern again. So we had 3 of these. That would be 12 cooling. This would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, we could do. Wait, no. Then there wouldn't be a room for a third one, right? Okay. Never mind. Never mind. This is the optimal layout here. Geez, so 16, 32 is our optimal layout for a single computation high performance computing array. That means, oh gosh, some of these are going to be really crazy, isn't it? Research station, 32. What's our highest computation requirement? I see 144. 44. I saw 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144. 144 Yeah, 144 for the ultimate battery is the highest one. That's 5 high performance computing arrays to get up to 144. Okay, well, it could be worse. I thought it was going to be something obscene, like 20 of them. So, okay. That's not so bad. What was I doing down here? This thing. Level maintain. So when you get under, let's say under 8,000, I want you to craft like 64,000. Okay, cool. It's probably already doing that right now. Yeah, this is a pretty quick thing to craft, so it shouldn't ever really like we shouldn't ever really be behind on this stuff. So it's already crafted up that load I requested. Alright, well, I'm just going to be sitting here waiting for circuits at this rate. It still needs to craft like 40 plus circuits, it looks like, so I'm going to be back once this is all done. I actually had the GregTech New Horizons wiki up because I was trying to figure out what was wrong with my stupid research station. And there they show it that you put the computation, they're called the quantum computers in GregTech New Horizons, and they just show quantum computer plugged into quantum computer. But then I was like, wait a second, we don't have quantum computer, we have the high performance computing array. And no, there is not a way to have, you cannot have a what's it called over here, you can't have a computation data input on this, so you can only do output. So you do in fact need network switches to connect multiple of these together, which is fine. That was already the assumption and understanding. Anyways, back to me waiting for this to craft. Okay, well, my elite circuit assembler stopped making noises, so yep, looks like we are done. All right. We're also gonna need an energy hatch over here, yeah? Not energy, input hatch. Temperature 20 degrees, providing computational units. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab HPCA units. We are doing, it doesn't really matter how we put them in here, but I guess I'd like to make them symmetrical because that'd be nicer. So heat sinks, that's providing all of the cooling we're needing, and then empty components, doing nothing. Very lazy components. Just clear out some space over here. Okay. You know, thinking about this, if we're gonna have 5 of these, it's gonna be like, I don't know. What if we had 5 of them just standing up? Yeah, that might look better. And then we have them running into the network switch over here, and then that plugs into the research station. How about I just stand this thing up? Sorry to be all wishy-washy on this. Time to rebuild this. Okay, so computation array. So yeah, that'll be fine there. Yeah, that's fine. I know that's like not where I just built the other one, but it's fine. Let me put computer casing, and then I will put the optical hatch manually there. And then where's my builder thingy? Go ahead and auto build this thing. It did not build the did not build the middle symmetrically, and I became tilted as a result. All right, heatsink component, please go there. Please go there. Computation components go there. Empty components go there. Okay, that's fine. How much power does this need? Max energy is 1 amp of LUV. This is not 1 amp of LUV. So I need 2 amps of LUV. So let's go LUV energy hatch. And then we're going to need a... why did I forget what it's called? Input hatch. Input hatch. Let's put my input hatches at the top. And then I think I'm going to run the line over from our AE system just along from the oil processing. We're only going to need one or a few channels over here. Let's put our computer casing down here. Can these wall share? Honestly, I don't see why they couldn't wall share. They could wall share all of those. I would just have to have the controller be like up here. I would have the controller up here. Like, here, I can actually borrow this for a second, right? If I have the controller up here, and then I have it flipped upside down, and then I shift click that. Yeah, that would totally work. Okay. So, I will plan to build them like that then. And wall sharing for the computation components is... I assume it's disabled, right? Like, no way that wouldn't be disabled, right? You know what? Let me go find out really quick. Okay, yeah, never mind. I would actually assume if the components were possible to be placed in such a way where they would be able to be aligned. The problem is that this is on this side of the block and it cannot be mirrored to like down here. So no matter what, even when I flip it upside down, like it's still gonna be, it's still gonna be well, the computation parts are on this side. If I flip it, they are now on this side, right? So they're in the same side, they're facing each other. But in order for me to put that into that face, these two faces would have to be touching, and then we would have two controllers on the same blocks, and it's almost certainly not going to allow that. Yeah, see? Nope, hates that. Okay, so that doesn't work. But my theory that we could just have another computation array right here, flip it upside down. Oh, it's saying structure incomplete for this one. Why are you upset? Is it... Let's see, we have a data transmission hatch. Let me put the data transmission hatch in the middle. Well, I don't know if those can share, actually. Data transmission. Multi-block sharing disabled. Okay, so those cannot share sides there. Computer casing? Huh, interesting. So this is now saying it's invalid. Kind of weird that it decided to just put all bridge components. Oh, shoot. I just blew up the whole thing by doing that. Alright, let me rebuild those really quick. Alright, go ahead and rebuild. Whoops, forgot to flip that one upside down. Alright, flip it upside down. Rebuild you. Yeah, I'm not sure why that's structure incomplete. There must be something in here that's not symmetrical. Let me break the middle layer and then replace the middle layer. So replace the middle layer with this one's middle layer. No, still structure incomplete and still structure formed on that side. So what is the issue now? The heat vents clearly do not need air because this one's heat vents are in the same place. EV 4 amp energy hatch. Oh, there was an extra transmission hatch back here. I found it. Okay. There we go. Okay, so yeah, this works. So we could allow them to share energy hatches. We could use multi-amp energy hatch sharing, and we could use input hatch sharing. So good. This bodes well for us. We can use that information for when we have our network switches ready to go. I might just end up building 6 of them so that they are symmetrical. All right, so we'll have our second one when we build it over here. But for now, let's plan to have our energy input and our power input here. So both of these will be a power input, and let's just use what are these going to require? These are going to require 1 amp of ZPM each, huh? Hmm. Let's not worry about that right now. Let's just do this for now. So we will need 2 amps of LUV. So LUV energy hatch is what we requested a while ago, and it is ready. We need a flux point. We need some optical cables. All right, let's get our flux point set up. This is going to be HPCA1. Go ahead and enable this. Ooh. You are running, but you're not even doing anything. Can you stop doing that? Okay. So we will want to turn the block on and off as we actually need to run it, because it's just going to drain power if we have it on. We could probably use a advanced inventory, advanced item detector. We could probably use one of these guys to detect if there's anything in the object holder. Oh, great. Chrome is stuck behind enriched Naquita. Okay, we'll go back to that in a minute. Anyways, let's go ahead and run our optical cable. Where's our data hatch? I'm going to put it up a little higher so we don't trip on it getting to our, just walking around back here. Okay, that should be a line. Let's go ahead and build this out. I almost did that perfectly. Okay, so you cannot have any forks in this kind of cable, so find my wire cutters. Okay, so that should have computation available. It's currently turned off. Let me get another flux point. Right here for this guy. Research station. Okay, so that input hatch is all charged up. Still waiting for Chrome. Alright, so we are currently doing passive cooling. We do not need fluid cooling yet, so we don't need to worry about getting coolant into here yet. But I think this is ready to go as soon as I start researching something. So let's go ahead and research some stuff. We need... where'd my notepad go? Advanced data hatch. So advanced data hatch. We're going to need a data bank for that one. Data bank. How much are those to make again? Not the cheapest thing, but also not the most expensive thing. Hang on. I have this fluid hatch in my inventory. I'm like, did I not install one over here? I did install one over there. Okay. I was slightly confused for a second. Okay, let me do the things that we need first. So let's get a LUV sensor and emitter going, first of all. I think emitter is the most important thing right now, so let's get an LUV emitter going. And we also need a data orb as well. So where... I was like, hey, that was fast for the LUV emitter. Okay, here we go. Let's go see if we can put an advanced item detector in our object holder. I assume so. Uh-oh. We cannot put an advanced item detector in here. Well then. We put like a regular item detector on it? I'm gonna guess no. Um... I guess we could also put an activity detector cover on the research station itself when it's running. But I don't really want to have all sorts of stuff hooked up to it. Does screwdriver do anything? Let me see. Object holder. Crowbar to remove covers? What covers? What covers is it talking about? Research station. Doesn't really have any covers. Okay. So yeah, no covers for us, I guess. I'll figure something out. Because either we need to have something on the front face of this, or we're gonna need something on the side of this. I assume I can have like a inventory reader and a logic cable. Are you in inventory at least? Uh, Inventory empty, true. Inventory full, true. Is inventory false? Oh, so it's not an inventory either. So I put something in there. What do you say about that? Does not see anything in there. Okay. Maybe it can only see it on the front face? Nope, it can't see that either. Okay. Well, I think with that then we have no way of detecting if anything's in the object holder. We're gonna have to look at the research station if it's currently doing a recipe. So we'll need a activity detector on it. I don't think I want a advanced one though. I mean, here, let me just check what that does. I think that gives it as a progress though, so we wouldn't want this one. We just want it if it's on or not on. So how can it be on? I guess how would it be on to know to turn on the computation if you need the computation to turn it on? I don't know. We'll figure it out. Activity detector cover though. We're gonna need to make a quick recipe for that one. We'll use the soldering alloy recipe at this point. Assembler. Okay. Maybe it'll like emit a signal when it starts crafting. I would like to kind of sort that out beforehand. So let me go ahead and make one of those. So here's our activity detector. We unfortunately can't have it outputting into the side of the block here and then extract the signal because I don't think it works. Though, hang on. Maybe we can use a red phantom face. Phantom face. Phantom redstone face. Yeah, we can definitely make one of those. That should only take like a few seconds to craft. So here we go. We have a red phantom face. Range 16. Okay. Not quite going to be that close, but sure. Get our phantom linker over there. So this side of the block should have a redstone signal when it is off. So there we go. Okay, it says power 15. Redstone. Yeah, okay. And then if I flip it. Okay, yeah. That seems nicer than having connection on the middle of the face. Okay, I am adequately pleased with the solution. So let me put the activity cover on the back, and I'm going to set it to normal really quick again, one more time. We're going to connect it there, and we can see that we are getting a redstone signal from the back of the block. And then I can put that into like a wireless transmitter, and then put the transmitter to go to all of the machines or something. I don't know. We'll see. All right, what else did we need here? I think we're ready to do our first research, right? Did our emitter finish? There's our emitter. Let's get our energy orb. Okay, so if my understanding is correct, you put the data orb in. You put the item you want to scan in here, in this case, an emitter. And it should start running, but we don't actually have it set to run because this is off, right? Yeah, so this is currently off. Wait, no. Okay, it's currently disabled. So yeah, that doesn't send a redstone signal out when it's ready to run. Because right now it is off. Right now it's idling. If I turn this on, does that start the research? The cable changed. Oh, yep, okay. It did, in fact, start the research. And it is now giving a signal that it is running. So one of the computers needs to be on in order to start crafting. I guess what I could do is I could have like a button to kick off the process, and then it would stay on. The button, this could stay on until the research is done or something. What happens to our item anyways? Oh, they're both gone. Okay. So we're just sitting here waiting for this to process. Can we speed this up? Because we have a lot. Machine needs more computation. Can we speed this up? Or is that a bad idea? It did not like that. What happens to our research if we're not getting enough computation here? It still says it's running, so... Is our temperature going up? No, temperature seems okay. Can I accelerate the computation components? No, okay. Okay, I can't really mess with this unless I accelerated it and gave it more power. Alright, we're just rolling here. I don't actually know if that would even speed it up because... Here, let me look at this one more time. No, it still says 8 per tick, so... Alright. All right, we wait for this to finish, and then we're going to have our new data ready to go. So be back in a moment. All right, research is about to finish up here. Here we go, 32K research, yay. And we get our data orb with CPM emitter. Nice. And our thing over here is still off. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out how I want to handle that. So since we can't read the item in here, and since we can't read when this is ready to go, I think our best bet is just to have a... We can just have a button to kick off the process, is what I'm thinking. So let's do a receiver and a transmitter. So we can do a transmitter back here. Rotate this really quick. So this is channel 1 transmitter. We can have a machine controller over here. And we can have a controller here. So this will be controlled with the signal here. So what are we on right now? We are disabled. We are enabled, and right now I want it to be disabled, right? So I think I want this inverted. Working disabled. Okay. I'm confused about what's going on here. Channel output is 0. What does inverted do? Inverted means you need a lever. Here, let me put a lever here for a second. Lever. Alright, put a lever on there. So redstone signal turns it on, redstone signal off turns it off. On is on, off is off. Okay, so this is what? This is inverted. Okay. And hang on, the behavior doesn't switch when I press the button manually, right? So on is on, off is off, but now if I press the button, on is still on, and then off just flips it back. Okay. So that is exactly what we want here. Channel 1, put a redstone here. And then let's see if my theory works as I suspect. So to kick this off, I would... Let's use a button over here, I guess. I could, like, hit this button here, and that could kick off the process. So let's see if that works. Wait. Invalid structure. Why? How did we suddenly become invalid? Is it because this button? Oh, it was because that button. Okay. It doesn't like stuff in here, I guess. Alright, so still okay with this. So if we kick that on, it should turn the computer on. Yeah, I can see the computer turning on. Okay. Let's do another research really quick. Let's do a data bank so I can make the data hatch. However, I'm waiting for these dang palladium ingots to cook up because what's going on here? Naquita again? Jeez, dude, come on with the Naquita, though. Okay, I'll be back once once this data bank is done. Oh, side content, though, while that's cooking up. Since we got to tritium coils down here, I went ahead and I upgraded our energy hatches on our EBF over here to make it be able to use ZPM power. So it has been actually making some Nequadria. So we are processing the Nequadria sulfate. It's the same as the enriched Nequada sulfate. So if we look at Nequada, so we have all this Nequada dust, and then we have a bunch of Nequadria sulfate, and then a bunch of Nequadria ingots. As far as what I'm going to do with this, a couple things we can do. There's not a whole lot of uses for it. One is that we can make Nequadria batteries. So that needs Nequadria dust, so that's a ZPM battery, and then a large Nequadria battery is a UV battery. So we would grind the dust back down to Nequadria. Let's see. The dust and tiny dust. I guess the tiny dust we could use to make enriched bacterial sludge, which we could then make mutagen. How else do we make bacterial sludge? Uranium, tiny uranium, or Nequadria. Okay. So we will need that eventually for mutagen for that processing chain. So that's worth keeping in mind. Other uses for Nequadria, I think that's kind of it though. Kind of the same uses as usual. Nequadria plate bends into a foil. Nothing uses. Oh, Fusion Computer Mark II uses Nequadria plate. Never mind. Double Nequadria plate specifically. UV sensor and emitter use foil. Nothing seems to use the rods, but I believe the bolts are used for energy cluster, yeah. Nothing uses the screw. None on nugget, none on gear, none on fine wire, none on the block. Okay, so we would just need a bolt and double plate. And foil. Potentially. I don't even know if we're going to be making this stuff. This might be beyond the pack of the Modpack, but we don't really need a whole lot in ingot form, so. Alright, did I kill enough time to finish our databank? Looks like it. We just need come up here, give the circuits a boost again. I'll be back when it's done once again. Okay, well, the circuit assembler finished, but I don't think the databank's done. Oh yeah, it's crafting right now on the assembly line. Oh yeah, and I also need the orb. Didn't make an orb at the same time. Whoops-a-daisy. Databank's done. Now we need the orb. And that does scan onto an orb, right? Yep. Okay, so data orb for the increased hatch size. So let's see if our process here for turning this on works. So we're going to put our databank in there. And then we are going to wait for our orb to craft up, which should only be a few more seconds. Cough, cough, cough. Look at that. It says crafting time 0. Like, why are we waiting? See? What did I say? So we should put this in here, and it's going to do nothing. But when I hit this button, it should turn on the computer, and that'll start the craft, and that'll keep the redstone on. All right, let's go. All right, perfect. And this is maintaining the redstone signal because now the machine is running. So we just have to manually start it every time we do research, which isn't really the worst thing in the world. And we'll be able to set up multiple receivers over here so we can have a receiver for each one of these machines we have. But yeah, okay. Okay. Well, I think that's going to be it for this episode. I'm going to do some upgrades now that we have this. I'm going to research a few more things that we currently are able to upgrade research to. I'm not going to upgrade our... I will upgrade our computation components here, but I'm not going to upgrade to the... what's it called just yet? The... network switch, yeah. I'll do that next episode. But for now, I'll probably just build some things between episodes, and then next time we'll have some things to work with for the network switch. And then, I don't know. I'll figure out what else we want to do, but network switch alone should be plenty of content to go through. Anyways, that's going to be it for this episode. If you are enjoying the series, please leave a like, subscribe, comment, etc. And I don't know where that voice came from. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time once I've made some research and made some of the things with the research. Bye!